In this video, we're going to talk about offers and also deciding on your highest level client. So I've got answers in this video for Robin and for Catherine. I'm so glad you guys asked these questions. I'm going to start with Robin because that's the one I had come in first. And Robin, you put your question in the form of like an elevator speech, screen share, and talk through this. Ultimately, I definitely want you to put this in into an offer form instead. I recognize that you know how. I taught that myself for elevator speeches. So out of the blue health problem, handle it herself, stress or aging. You said a bunch more in the behind the scenes about your question, and I'm going to actually copy that in here so we can take a look at that. So, and I get what you're talking about. Like you've got one of those, I don't know what's wrong. The medical doctors tell me there's nothing wrong and there's something systemically wrong, and you help them figure out what systemically is wrong. I would love to know a little bit more about your modality. Not that your modality goes in your offer, but it's going to help me figure out what the best way to position the pain is. Because I get that I really get the problem because I've worked with plenty of people before who have said, you know, it's people who have, they may have one presenting symptom, they may have a lot of presenting symptoms, but everything that it should be according to Western medicine, it's not. And so they're left with no diagnosis. And I think while you can do that, often people who do end up being, it's all built on charisma, it's all built on they are the person of last resort kind of thing. And if they stumble across you, that's great. We want a stronger message for you. So is this finger pointy enough? She's struggling to keep going in her life, but she knows something's not right. This is kind of the key statement of her pain, and that's not terribly finger pointing. What she needs is a way to troubleshoot, a guide, an owner's manual. So you're on a very viable track. Yes. And we need to get a whole bunch more finger pointy, whether it is that we focus on a single system. And I know you said you don't want to focus on musculoskeletal pain. That's absolutely fine. Um, uh, and yes, I want to have a statement of things for you to dangle in front of them too. I'd really like to discuss this with you on a call. We've got a call next Wednesday. I'd like you to submit this question for the call. And let's talk back and forth a little bit more about it. If you want to go ahead and answer this video in Facebook, that's absolutely fine. Tell me a little bit more about your methodology, modality. Tell me what it is you do for people, because it's going to help me identify some of the results that we could talk about and go from there. But you're in something that obviously is a needed thing. It is viable, but the description of this here is not enough to cut through the noise online. This is probably enough if you were going to stand up in a group of people offline and say this. You might have a person in the group go, gosh, that sounds like me. But it's not finger pointy enough to get traction, I think, when you're just dealing with written words. So we want to take that up a notch. All right. Next person is Catherine. Catherine, I really like this choice of who. I know you've struggled a little bit with your who going back and forth. I like highly sensitive, conscious professional women. I get that in the professional world, they are usually anxious, reactive, overwhelmed. They're picking up other people's energy. One thing you need to decide is how sort of woo you want to go with your language. Like, and this is true of Robin too. So I'm talking to both of you ladies here. How much do your prospective clients, your highest level, best client, already know? How much do they already know? Because Catherine, if you get someone who self-identifies as an HSP, you know, she says, I am an HSP. I pick up the energy of other people. If I am in a room with people fighting, I get anxious. Like she knows a lot already. She's already not just problem aware, but she's a notch ahead. Robin, if your people say, I think it's my X, I think it's my hormones that are troubling me, or you know, the XYZ in my body is out of balance, you're getting a much more educated person. I'm not telling you to reach for that person. Sometimes that's the right thing to do, and sometimes not. Like we have a very successful client in this container who works with people teaching them how to read the Akashic records. And if somebody has never heard of the Akashic records, they're just not a prospect of hers. So they have to have at least heard of it. So I want to ask both of you ladies, what is their level of awareness? And let's make sure we don't make it too detailed. Oh, they know all this stuff, but also they're not totally ignorant. Probably somewhere in between. So I like the highly sensitive, conscious professional women. I don't think they want to set clear boundaries and practice radical self-care. I think that the main thing is struggling with anxiety, reactivity, and overwhelm to the point of burnout. That's a pretty good statement. But I think the big thing is they are afraid they might have to quit their job. They're afraid they're going to lose their minds if they have to be in a room with arguing people one more second. So I think I love the idea that this is professionals and how to, it's like how to keep whether it is how to set clear boundaries or how to keep the uncomfortable energy out at work or something. And that's language we can work on. But I think her big thing is, I'm afraid I'm going to go crazy or I'm going to have to quit my job in order to survive emotionally. And that's where I don't, almost always it's hard to sell radical self-care. Ask me how I know. It's just really hard to sell something they need, but they may not want. Now, they may want to set clear boundaries, or they may not know that they need that. They may think it's impossible because they feel like they don't have the authority or the power to do that. So this is something in both of these that really concerns me. And I don't think they'll pay for leaving in working time for their yoga class, but I think they'll pay for not going crazy and not having to quit their job. So let's, you're on really solid ground now. Now we're tweaking the parts of the offer statement. And I think that's really powerful. Robin, if if you're still watching this, I hope you'll go into the training and look at how an offer statement is created and the offer sheet, because the more you can put on that offer sheet for the call on Wednesday, the more I can help you. All right, ladies, great job. Love the questions. I'll see you soon.